Welcome to the show. We have been having some complexities for figuring out exactly what should be said in this segment because of the schedule for filming this week and the very, very long impeachment hearings that have been happening in the House Judiciary Committee. We are having to tape this segment before we actually know the full outcome and schedule of what has been taking place. So what I am saying right now may be outdated, or it may have already happened, or it may be about to happen. But I want to kind of give an overview of what is going to happen with what is the impeachment of Donald Trump by the House of Representatives, currently with a Democratic majority. Thursday, very, very long hearings in the House Judiciary Committee, made up of 41 members in total, 24 Democrats, 17 Republicans. That body, after debating on and on and on a variety of amendments, which of course never had an opportunity to pass, but merely served as a jumping off point for grandstanding and for the repetition of what at this point is very exhaustingly the same talking points over and over and over again, monopolizing news television for the entire day. The House Judiciary will or already did vote along party lines, yes on impeachment of Donald Trump, sending the vote to the full House. In the House, they will or may have already voted, basically along party lines, to impeach Donald Trump, the president of the United States. Now, what would be interesting, and as of this filming, we don't know, but that I would be curious to see, would be, are there any Democratic members of the House that vote against impeachment, or are there any Republican members of the House that vote for the impeachment of Donald Trump? For example, we had heard at different points in time that there's where is she from? A Hawaii Congresswoman, Tulsi Gabbard, who at least one point was not in favor of impeachment. How does she vote, if at all? She's been missing from a lot of votes as well. Are there any individuals that cross party lines? What then will happen is that the Senate will have a trial, and it appears as though that is going to be in January. Now, everybody has different interests in how this trial is going to go or may go. The trial will be organized by the Senate Majority Leader. Remember, despite the House being taken over by Democrats in November of 2018, sworn in January of this year, the Senate is still controlled by Republicans. And that means that the Senate Majority Leader, Mitch McConnell, gets to set a lot of the parameters and procedure of how that impeachment trial goes. In looking at the tentative 2020 Senate calendar, we see that January has been left blank, at least as of this filming, with the expectation that this is when the impeachment trial is going to take. I have been asked, how long could that impeachment trial go? It could be a week to 10 days. It could be the majority of January. We just don't know yet. Donald Trump has reportedly expressed an interest in it going a very long time. He believes, maybe rightly, maybe wrongly, that a long impeachment trial would be good for him. However, presiding over the impeachment trial will be the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of the United States, which is, of course, John Roberts, a conservative justice not selected by President Donald Trump, but a conservative justice nonetheless. So then the question is, what is going to happen in the Senate? And I will give you some of the counterpoints to this, but the most likely scenario, I am not a betting man, but if I were a betting man, I would imagine that it is going to be an acquittal of Donald Trump in the Senate. Why do I say that? Well, so far, we have seen no interest from Republican senators to seriously even consider the possibility of analyzing what it is that has taken place and being open to voting to convict Donald Trump. A priori, we have seen Republicans dismiss the case for impeachment, save, these little blips that we could maybe talk about. Currently, the numbers are against Democrats in the sense that there are 45 Democratic senators right now. There are two independent senators, Bernie Sanders and Angus King, who caucus with Democrats, and we could say that's 47 votes right there. Now, there is a question as to will the Senate has some very centrist, or we could even call them conservative Democrats. Joe Manchin, for example. Will Joe Manchin vote to convict Donald Trump on impeachment? I'm not sure. So we may even not have all 47 Democrats to count on. On the other side, because you need a 2/3 vote to convict on impeachment, 2/3 being With 100 senators, it's 67. That means you need to pick up 20 Republican senators who are, forget about interested in convicting, even open to that idea. I don't think they exist. And let's go down that path now in a couple of different ways. First of all, Republican senators are just going to do what's politically advantageous. And that means in terms of their reelection, in terms of balancing that with maintaining a position in Donald Trump's good graces, et cetera. If they put their finger to the wind, and we know from polling that nearly 2/3 of Republican voters said, not only am I not against Trump right now, there's nothing Trump could even hypothetically do that would turn me against him. When 2/3 of Republican voters, 62%, almost 2/3 say that, why would a Republican senator vote to convict when Republican voters would likely punish them for that decision? The caveat to this is that we've heard, former Senator Jeff Flake said he thinks potentially 24 or more, I think 30 was the number, Republican senators might be willing to convict Trump on impeachment. Who was he talking about? What is he talking about? We don't know. More recently, Democratic Senator Chris Murphy from Connecticut said that he can count them on one hand, but they exist, Republicans who he believes would be willing to convict Donald Trump. And we went through the list. Always on that list is Senator Susan Collins from Maine, although despite her vocalizing sometimes some opposition to the Republican orthodoxy, in the end, she usually ends up being a tool of perpetuating the Republican orthodoxy, the Brett Kavanaugh hearings being an example of that. Anytime we talk about there is a Republican who might go the other way, Lisa Murkowski's name comes up from Alaska. Mitt Romney, who is now a senator in Utah, has had some public disagreements with Donald Trump. They were friends and they had turtle soup or whatever it was, frog legs and turtle soup. Then they were not friends and Trump ridiculed him, whatever. Romney has talked before when I believe Romney was asked about Republican Congressman Justin Amash, I forget how he pronounces his name, Justin Amash saying, hey, listen, what Trump's doing is wrong. We've got to impeach. Romney said, I respect what he's doing, or what he's doing is brave or courageous or something like that, but that's not for me. So even though Romney's name is being floated as a possibility, is that likely? I don't know how Republicans get 20 senators to say we're going to vote to convict. So then let's carry that out. January goes by and Donald Trump is acquitted in a Senate impeachment trial. Then what? Trump campaigns on vindication. Does that work? Certainly non-acquittal, despite not necessarily being vindication, because it's going to be a party line thing, it likely will reinvigorate some voters who voted for Trump in 2016, are not thrilled with Trump's performance since being inaugurated, maybe would have stayed home, probably would not vote for a Democrat in 2020, but maybe would have just stayed home. They may say, wow, this guy, they've gone after this guy on Russia. Now they went after him on Ukraine and he was acquitted. I've got to get out and support him because after all this, I don't want a Democrat getting in. This guy's been through the ringer. That is likely to invigorate that ideology in at least some 2016 Trump voters. Then it becomes, can Democrats use what is obviously going to be an a priori, a non-conviction by Senate Republicans? Can they use that to say, guys, we've got to get out and vote? We went through the hearings. We looked at the evidence. We did what we could because we control the House, but the Senate simply will not see reason. We now need to vote. It will then be the end of January or early February. It will only be 9 months from that election. We will start to have the Iowa caucuses and then the New Hampshire primary leading up to Super Tuesday and all of those. The timing may, and I just don't know, the timing may really inspire a lot of left-wingers, particularly those who maybe have not voted, because remember, half the country doesn't vote. It may inspire them to get involved and say, this can't be. I've been sitting on the sidelines. I gave them the opportunity to get this guy out with impeachment for what he's done. I need to now go and vote in November. Will that enthusiasm last for 9 months? I don't know. Voting enthusiasm is a fickle and difficult to predict thing. So that's my assessment of the next, what is roughly going to be 11 months. Again, we had to film this before the House actually having that full vote. It may not yet have happened when you listen to this. It may already have happened when you watch this, but we will pick this story up on Monday. We will take your phone calls. I will answer your questions, and we've got a great Friday show coming up. Today's program is sponsored in part by Blinkist.com/Pakman. If you've not already heard about Blinkist, it's amazing. It's an app for your phone, tablet, or web browser. And what they do is they take nonfiction books, popular nonfiction, critically acclaimed nonfiction. They condense the book into a 15-minute audiobook. You get all the most important information and insights from each book, but you can soak up the entire essence of the book in one sitting. I've listened to a ton of books on Blinkist. One recent one is Robert Reich's new book, The Common Good. Also Bunk by Kevin Young, useful in preparing me for the pseudoscience miniseries that we're producing. And if you are a David Pakman Show viewer or listener, you can get a 7-day free trial by going to Blinkist.com/Pakman. If you're watching on YouTube, use the link in the video description. After the free trial, if you like it, you can get the full access to thousands of condensed audiobooks for about $5 a month. That's BLINKIST.com/PAKMAN.